You have a good life. You know you have a good life. And somehow that makes feeling unhappy even harder to explain. This is one of the most common and least talked about emotional experiences of modern life. Everything looks fine from the outside. You have what you are supposed to want, and yet there is this persistent, low-level feeling that something is missing. Something is off. Something is wrong, but you cannot point to what it is. And because you cannot point to it, you feel guilty for feeling it, which makes everything worse. I spent months researching exactly why this happens, reading studies, testing explanations, talking to real people who have felt exactly this way. And what I found is that feeling unhappy, even when life is good, is not a character flaw, and it is not ingratitude. It is a set of very specific and very understandable psychological and neurological mechanisms that most people never get explained to them clearly. If this video gives you something real today, there is a Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. Even one coffee keeps this channel alive and means more than you know. By the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly why you feel unhappy even when life is good, the real reasons backed by real science, and what you can actually do about each one starting today. And the last reason is the one that surprises people most. It has nothing to do with your circumstances, your mindset, or your attitude. It is something happening at a biological level that almost nobody ever addresses. Stay with me for that one, because it reframes everything. Habit number 1. Hedonic adaptation. The first reason you feel unhappy even when life is good is one of the most well-documented phenomena in all of psychology. It is called hedonic adaptation, and it explains more about modern dissatisfaction than almost anything else. Hedonic adaptation is your brain's automatic tendency to return to a relatively stable level of happiness regardless of what happens to you, positive or negative. You get the promotion. You feel great for a week. Then it becomes the new normal and the feeling fades. You move into the new house. The excitement lasts a month. Then it is just where you live. You reach the goal. You feel the relief and satisfaction. Then your brain recalibrates and the baseline returns. Researchers at Northwestern University studied lottery winners and found that within 1 year of winning, their happiness levels had returned almost entirely to where they were before the win. Not because they were ungrateful, because their brains automatically adapted to the new reality the same way they adapt to everything. The high becomes the baseline, and the baseline always wants more. This is why achieving things never produces the lasting happiness you expected them to. Not because the things were wrong, because your brain was never designed to let any single achievement permanently elevate your mood. It was designed to keep moving, keep wanting, keep seeking. That drive kept your ancestors alive. In modern life, it keeps you perpetually one achievement away from feeling okay. Here is your action today. Identify one thing in your current life that you have fully adapted to. Something that used to feel like a genuine gift, but now feels completely ordinary. Spend 5 deliberate minutes today engaging with it as if you were experiencing it for the first time. This practice is called positive re-engagement, and research shows it temporarily reverses hedonic adaptation by reintroducing novelty and intentional attention to things your brain has stopped registering as valuable. Now, the next reason goes even deeper than adaptation, and this one involves something your brain is doing every single second of every single day without you ever asking it to. Habit number 2, the negativity bias. The second reason you feel unhappy, even when life is good, is your brain's hardwired negativity bias, the neurological tendency to register, process, and remember negative information more intensely than positive information of equal significance. Neuroscientists studying brain imaging found that negative stimuli produce significantly stronger neural responses than positive stimuli of equivalent intensity. Your brain quite literally pays more attention to what is wrong than to what is right. It always has. It was designed to. A brain that was equally interested in good news and bad news would not have survived long enough to pass on its genes. Threats needed to be prioritized. Dangers needed to be remembered. Problems needed to be solved immediately. But in modern life, where genuine survival threats are rare, the negativity bias runs continuously on daily life content. The one critical comment among 20 positive ones. The one thing that went wrong in an otherwise good day. The one worry among 10 things going well. Your brain amplifies these disproportionately, not because you are a pessimist, because you are a human with a brain that was built for a much more dangerous world than the one you actually live in. Here is the crazy part. Researchers found that it takes approximately 5 positive experiences to counteract the emotional impact of one negative experience of equal intensity. 5 to 1. Which means, in a day where 4 good things and 1 bad thing happen, you can still end the day feeling net negative. Your brain did exactly what it was designed to do. The math just does not work in your favor. Here is your action. At the end of today, write down 5 specific good things that happened. Not to force positivity, but to manually correct for a biological bias that is systematically undercounting the good in your life. Do this for 2 weeks, and notice whether your perception of your daily experience begins to shift. You are not lying to yourself. You are rebalancing a scale that was already tilted before you got there. Share this with someone who always seems to focus on the one thing that went wrong, even when everything else went right. They are not negative by choice. Their brain is just doing its job. Now, number 3. This one involves something most people in modern life have in abundance and almost nobody realizes is making them miserable. Habit number 3. Arrival fallacy. The third reason you feel unhappy even when life is good is what psychologist Tal Ben-Shahar calls the arrival fallacy, the false belief that reaching a specific goal or destination will produce lasting happiness. The arrival fallacy sounds like this inside your head. When I get the job, I will finally be happy. When I lose the weight, everything will feel better. When I move to the new city, my life will really begin. When I find the right relationship, all of this will make sense. The arrival fallacy keeps happiness permanently located in the future, just beyond where you are right now, regardless of how much ground you cover. The problem is that arrival never delivers what anticipation promised. Not because the goal was wrong, but because your brain was using the goal as a container for all the happiness it was not allowing you to feel in the present. And when you arrive and the container is empty, the disappointment is not just about the goal. It is about realizing that the strategy itself was flawed. Research in positive psychology found that people significantly overestimate how happy future positive events will make them, and significantly underestimate how quickly they will adapt back to baseline after those events occur. The gap between anticipated happiness and actual happiness upon arrival is one of the most reliable findings in the entire field of happiness research. Here is your action. Identify one thing you are currently waiting to arrive before you allow yourself to feel genuinely okay. Not happy necessarily, just okay. Now ask yourself what specifically about that arrival you believe will produce the feeling you are waiting for. Is it safety, connection, freedom, recognition? Whatever that underlying need is, find one small way to partially meet that need today in your current circumstances, rather than waiting for the arrival to meet it fully. Habit number 4. Lack of meaning versus lack of pleasure. The fourth reason is one of the most important distinctions in all of happiness psychology, and most people have never heard it explained clearly. There are 2 fundamentally different types of positive emotional experience: hedonic well-being, pleasure, comfort, entertainment, sensory enjoyment, and eudaimonic well-being, meaning, purpose, growth, contribution, the feeling that what you are doing matters beyond just how it feels in the moment. Modern life is extraordinarily good at providing hedonic well-being, entertainment on demand, comfort food, social media stimulation, convenient pleasure of almost every kind available at any moment. What modern life is much worse at providing, and what most people are quietly starving for, is eudaimonic well-being, the deep sense that their life means something, that they are growing, that they are contributing to something beyond themselves, that what they do with their days matters. Researchers studying life satisfaction found that people whose lives were high in pleasure but low in meaning reported feeling empty, hollow, and vaguely purposeless despite objectively comfortable circumstances. People whose lives were high in meaning but lower in immediate pleasure reported significantly higher long-term life satisfaction and resilience despite more frequent difficulty and discomfort. You can feel unhappy even when life is good, specifically because your life is full of pleasure and empty of meaning. And no amount of additional pleasure, more entertainment, more comfort, more consumption will fill a meaning-shaped hole. Here is your action today. Identify one activity in your current life that produces genuine meaning for you. Not pleasure, but meaning. Something where you feel that what you are doing matters. If you cannot identify one that currently exists in your life, that absence is important information. Start asking what kind of contribution or growth or connection would feel genuinely meaningful to you, and take one concrete step toward creating more of it this week. Now, number 5, and this one is where most people will recognize themselves most clearly, because it describes something almost everyone in modern life is doing every single day. Habit number 5, chronic disconnection from the present moment. The 5th reason you feel unhappy, even when life is good, is chronic disconnection from the present moment, and it is one of the most pervasive and least recognized sources of modern unhappiness. Remember the Harvard study that found people spend nearly 47% of their waking hours thinking about something other than what they are actually doing? Almost half of every waking moment spent somewhere other than the present, and the researchers found that people were significantly less happy when their minds were wandering than when they were fully present, regardless of what they were actually doing. Your life is happening right now. Whatever is genuinely good in your life exists in the present moment. But if your mind is almost never in the present moment, if it is perpetually in the past, replaying what went wrong, or in the future, worrying about what might go wrong, then the good things in your present life are essentially invisible to your experience. They are happening. You are just not there to receive them. This is compounded enormously by smartphone use. Research found that the mere presence of a smartphone on a desk, even face down, even turned off, measurably reduced cognitive presence and emotional engagement with whatever the person was actually doing. The habit of constant distraction has restructured how modern brains relate to present experience, and the result is a life that looks good from the outside but feels strangely distant and unreal from the inside. Here is your action. Choose one activity today, one meal, one conversation, one walk, and be completely present for its entire duration. No phone, no planning, no reviewing, just fully inhabiting that one experience. Notice what becomes available when you are actually there. This is not meditation, it is just presence, and presence is where your actual life lives. Save this video. The reasons why you feel unhappy even when life is good are worth understanding deeply, because the solutions cannot be found until the real causes are clearly seen. Now, everything I have shared so far is real, and it matters. Hedonic adaptation keeps resetting your baseline. The negativity bias systematically undercounts the good. The arrival fallacy keeps happiness in the future. The meaning deficit leaves you full but empty. Chronic distraction keeps you absent from the life you have. But this last one, this is the one I want you to hear most carefully, because it is the most biological, the least discussed, and in many ways the most fixable of everything I have covered. Habit number 6, chronic low-grade physiological stress. The 6th reason you feel unhappy, even when life is good, is something happening in your body rather than your mind. Chronic, low-grade physiological stress running continuously in the background of your nervous system. Here is what this means. Your stress response system, designed for short, intense bursts of activation in response to genuine threats, is now being triggered continuously by the low-grade but relentless demands of modern life. Emails, notifications, financial pressure, social comparison, information overload. None of these are lions, but your nervous system cannot fully distinguish between them and genuine threats, and so it runs a mild but constant stress response throughout your day. This chronic low-grade activation has a direct and measurable effect on mood. When your nervous system is running a background stress program, it suppresses the production of serotonin and dopamine, the chemicals most directly associated with contentment, motivation, and genuine positive feeling. You are not producing enough of the chemicals that make life feel good because your system is too busy running the chemicals that keep you vigilant and prepared for a threat that never fully arrives and never fully leaves. This is why you can have an objectively good life and still feel a persistent low-level flatness underneath it. Your circumstances are fine, your brain chemistry is not, and circumstances cannot fix chemistry. Neuroscientist Andrew Huberman at Stanford has documented how specific physiological practices, deliberate slow breathing, cold water exposure, brief vigorous movement, genuine rest without screens, directly regulate the nervous system and restore the neurochemical baseline that makes positive emotion accessible again. These are not luxury practices. They are biological maintenance for a system that modern life chronically overloads. Here is your action today. Choose one physiological regulation practice and do it today. A 5-minute slow breathing session where your exhale is twice the length of your inhale. 60 seconds of cold water at the end of your shower. 10 minutes of vigorous movement that gets your heart rate genuinely elevated. 20 minutes of genuine rest with no screens and no inputs. Any one of these done consistently begins to shift the neurochemical environment that determines whether your good life actually feels good.